We are about to enter a new region in Wuthering Waves with brand new mechanics and fresh faces. But if you're still struggling to clear endgame content or just starting fresh, this video is going to help you immensely, especially if you began recently and are confused about what to do next. We'll start with the basics and move step by step toward advanced strategies so you can clear endgame content as fast as possible. Let's begin with step number 1. If you're starting now, your first move should be to pull Shorekeeper from the beginner banners, then get Verina from the free 5-star selector. This is the best starting path, as both are among the strongest universal supports in the entire game. They'll solve your biggest beginner issue, providing healing and buffs, and will make your journey smoother than you can imagine. They also allow you to fully focus on your main DPS, since you'll already have 2 buffer healers for 2 teams. This saves you a massive amount of resources because you won't have to build specific supports early on. Talking about DPS, I would suggest playing Rover as your main DPS, and not wasting resources building the standard banner DPS units, as most of them will become irrelevant once you get better characters. So just focus on Rover, Verina, and Shorekeeper in the beginning. Now, talking about building characters, the most important thing you need to know is resource management. This is the most fundamental step. I will first suggest focusing on the story and main quests. These will give you enough rewards, open world exploration, and experience for your early progression, while also unlocking every new region. This is also the fastest way to increase your union level or world level, which saves tons of Waveplates. Higher levels give you more rewards from bosses and domains, allowing you to conserve Waveplates until you know exactly which characters to invest in. Talking about investment, there are 2 fundamental upgrades you need to make for every character. First, echoes, and second, talent levels. As a new player, it's best to focus on upgrading your main DPS's talents first and gather 3-star or 4-star echoes while exploring. Use them until you reach databank level 15 or higher. Most of the early purple or 4-star echoes will end up as experience material later, so don't waste resources farming them in domains early on. Just use the ones you naturally obtain through exploration. Talking about resource management, focus only on characters that you like and that will remain useful long term. You don't need to level every character just because you're using them early on. Many of them will fall off later.
That brings us to step 3. After obtaining both Verina and Shorekeeper, the next goal is to invest in 4-star units that can stay relevant until the very end. In Wuthering Waves, there are 2 broken 4-stars that every account needs, Sanhua and Mortefi. Both of these characters are incredibly strong, providing unmatched buffs and still being usable in current meta teams. They work with nearly every DPS. Sanhua, who provides basic attack bonuses, synergizes with characters like Camellia, Cartethia, Brant, Changli, and Encore. Meanwhile, Mortefi covers all heavy attack-based damage dealers like Augusta, Yuno, Jian, and Zani. Seeing the current structure and rarity of 4-stars, these 2 are absolute must-builds for every account. Even if they aren't the best in slot for premium DPS, they work universally with most characters, saving a huge amount of resources until you know where to invest long-term. Step 4. Team building. If you followed everything so far, this part will be a piece of cake. You already have the foundation for 2 teams, including the best supports and universal buffers in the game. Now you just need to add DPS units. There are numerous good DPS characters in Wuthering Waves, and most of them are insanely strong. Since the game is only about 1.5 years old, most DPS units are still viable. However, I always recommend pulling newer characters, not just because they deal more damage, but because they have better team potential and future synergy. I wouldn't say it's a must to go for top DPS like Camellia, Jian, Cartethia, or even Augusta if you're new, as most newer DPS units will carry you effortlessly. That said, Augusta is still one of the most F2P-friendly characters in the entire game, and an excellent early investment. Some important tips while choosing a DPS: always consider their long-term potential and synergy. For example, both Galbraina and Encore can clear Tower of Adversity, but Galbraina does it more efficiently and with far greater team flexibility. She also offers better future stability, as newer units tend to get dedicated teams before and after their release, helping you build meta compositions faster than you think. If you want to see a full ranking of characters, you can check out this video next. Even if you don't have all the best-in-slot supports, units like Mortefi can always fill that role temporarily. That's why Mortefi and Sanhua remain top-tier universal picks. They can be slotted into almost any team without much loss in efficiency. Step 5. Now that you have a solid base team with good supports and DPS, you can start farming domains and echo sets for your characters. But here's a crucial warning: never build your supports first. Always prioritize your main DPS's talent levels and echo sets. Most of your total damage output will come from them.
Now, let's jump into some key growth tips for your account. Always prefer horizontal investment over vertical investment. Vertical investment means spending resources on resonance chains or weapons for a single DPS, without securing proper buffers or supports. While this will make your DPS stronger, you'll struggle in endgame content that requires multiple teams, as you can't reuse the same DPS repeatedly. Horizontal investment, on the other hand, means expanding your roster, building new units and teams to cover different endgame needs. This strategy ensures long-term stability and flexibility. Rule number 2. One of the biggest mistakes new players make is pulling weapons like Stringmaster, thinking it will be their universal best-in-slot option. This is a trap. Both characters and weapons cost almost the same resources, but a weapon like Stringmaster might only increase your team's total damage by around 5%. A new character or dedicated support, however, can boost team damage by 20% or more. If you're pulling for a weapon, always prioritize your main DPS's signature weapon instead. That's where you'll get the biggest overall damage increase, since the DPS contributes around 70% of team output. Third tip: focus on 2 to 3 DPS characters at most in the beginning. Unlike other gacha games, Wuthering Waves gives far more rewards, which might tempt you to pull every new unit. But that's the biggest trap. It divides your resources and prevents you from finishing any full team, making it harder to clear endgame modes like Whimpering Waste or Hologram Domain, where you need strong, specialized teams. It's always better to wait for the units that complete your teams, instead of pulling random new ones just because they look powerful. Fourth tip: never waste your corals. This is a premium currency you get every time you pull duplicate characters. Unlike most other gacha games, corals can actually be used to buy future copies of any character. This is one of the most valuable features in the game. Many players can't resist the urge to spend them early on, but as a beginner, it's highly recommended to save them. Even if you don't currently want extra copies of any character, you should treat corals as an emergency fund, something you can use if you ever desperately need a character in the future. Seeing it as an emergency reserve gives you a safety cushion if you ever miscalculate your pulls, and that's incredibly important in a game like Wuthering Waves, where everything revolves around your pulls. At the end of the day, this is a gacha game, and the goal is to have fun through diverse playstyles and characters. So I hope this video helped you decide the best way to grow your account if you're starting now.